Okay, hello everybody, or the three people who might watch this. I hope more than that watch this because this is the biggest change in one of the key files that is on the website. I don't know how many people look at these files, but for me, these are sorts of files you might actually have to pay for somebody. This generic macros, this read PDF, this new lookup kind of thing. But this waterfall charts, that's the one I'm going to talk about today because there are some people who can make these waterfall charts, I guess, themselves. There's some people who've never made them, and there's some people like me who say, "Oh my God, this is hard." And then you can also look in this waterfall little thing here on my website that is apparently very badly presented, but I just want to give you a bunch of files on this website, okay? It's not about flashy stuff. Now, okay, so the first thing I do is kind of explain here what, how you have to set this up. You just have to make the starting point and then add the incremental differences. If you have a space, um, why doesn't that work? Okay, if you have a space, then it assumes that's going to be a subtotal. It used to be that if you have a zero, it didn't quite know what to do to treat that as a subtotal. Now that's fixed. The other thing that's fixed, which is very dramatic, is that we can have a negative number. Okay, now the the other thing that's fairly significant, and that I spent way too much time on probably, is I'm going to press Shift Control V, Shift Control V. So this could be in any of your spreadsheets. Remember, this sheet just has to be open, or this workbook rather has to be open, and then you just press. I'm just going to press Continue and make the graph. Nothing fancy. Okay, and then I get my base number. Now I have been reading this book I'm going to open it, and it's Hebert, I think, and it's very good. It goes through kind of how to format graphs. I've taken that somewhat seriously. Now, what you do is, as soon as you hit this, if you just press Enter, it takes you through a whole bunch of ways to make modifications. Now, this was kind of interesting for me because if we just you can, change. Of course, this is just changing the bars and making the width of the bars different. Now, when I said of course and didn't finish my sentence, I meant you can do this, of course, by yourself. You didn't have to do this, but notice kind of if you're just kind of playing with the graph, isn't it easier to kind of look at it like this? And then the biggest innovation is this thing I was having problems with before was if I want to change the spacing of the labels. So if I want to make them go further away, I press enter. If I want to make them close, I press this little thing. So I'm just pressing this enter or these things. Okay, so I can make them farther away. And the reason I might want to make them further away is now I'm going to go back to the modifications, and then I'm going to change the label size. I think that one of the interesting things about this is you could just do this with any graph. Actually, I'm on the label size, which is a little different. So I might want to make it bold or unbold, larger or smaller. Okay, so let's leave that like that. Okay, and then we might want to make some other modifications. The next one, I'm going to leave this out. I might want to adjust the minimum. Now, these people who wrote this very good book about presenting things said, no, don't do that. Leave it. If it's minimum, you're just going to distort things by putting a different minimum in. But I see in the kind of real world people do, you know, changing the minimums all the time. So that just changes the minimum. Of course, you could have done that yourself as well. Okay, and then you can say, well, I want to make sure it crosses the axis at the maximum. So I just pressed number 3 or press 4, it goes back to the minimum. Again, I kind of like this where you can see what you're doing yourself. Now, So we've changed the minimum. We can do the same for the maximum. I'm going to leave that out. And then we can change the title. I put a little thing there. Sorry, I got to take that out. Let's input a new title. And let's say graph of income change, something like that. And then maybe I want to make this a little larger. Okay, I should have taken that little message box out, excuse me. And then we can go back, okay, and then this is something that's a really pain. If we might want to, change the size of the X scale. So I just made it bigger and smaller. Let's see if I make it smaller. Okay. Oops. Okay. And then just like, oops, I think there. Maybe I want to put that at the maximum. So I press number 6 to put it at the maximum. If I like that, then I can again make it smaller, larger, or smaller, and go back to other modifications, and then finally I've done X and a lot. Then you can, I suppose, put some grid lines on, so you just press enter to put it on. You can take it off then by pressing the slash key and the enter. Okay, so I think that's about it. So all you have to do is include this in your other file. Now, what I'm going to do next, I think, is and by the way, if you press Shift Control E and you're on the graph, you just get all of these things back. So, oh, it looks like these labels are a touch far away, so I just can make them a little closer. I can even adjust the size of the increment. So let's make it 70 or something. And then make it a tiny bit further. Okay, let me make it adjust the size of the increment and make it 50. Okay, good. Press X to finish. So that was Shift Control E down here. It says that. Okay, and then you have your graph. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is make a second video, because I think this is a kind of a big change. And in the second video, I'm going to talk about this problem with the minimums. Okay?